Good evening and welcome to the Let's Talk Destiny talk show. I'm honored tonight to have with me Dr. Willie Mae Hawkins. She is a speaker, a consultant, a life coach, an author, and a TV host. I met this powerhouse when I was living in Virginia a few years back, and I attended an event that was sponsored by her foundation, her organization. She builds a vineyard. And I was absolutely blessed by that. Like to this day, so many years later, I still remember some of the things that she shared about the power of being a woman, number one, but then being a single mother, and the ministry and the business that she and her son have together is so inspiring. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. But first, I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Hawkins, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that you reached out.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so first, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and your ministry and your business, and all of that.
Oh, wow. Let me try to narrow it down because it can be lengthy. I don't know you talk about. Um, Let me start. Well, my ministry started with Spring, a national single parenting ministry. I still do that today, but I also work with. She builds a vineyard, a mentoring program for women and teenage girls. That came out of my doctoral work at Regent University at Virginia Beach, Virginia. And so with that, um, it still involves women in general, but with some specific things with women. But she builds a vineyard also assists with teenage girls as well. Um, the core of She Builds a Vineyard is self care, and we also well, the self care areas are rest, meditation, diet, and exercise. And we also provide coaching in 6 areas, such as dealing with self esteem, dealing with financial development, dealing with spiritual development. And so there's other 6 areas right now um, that we work with. So our website to know more is shebuildsavineyard.com.
Awesome, awesome. So, what I want you to share with us today is, I know at this point in your life that you are pursuing your purpose and that you are obeying the voice of God as He directs you with regard to ministry and business. But
Right.
was there a time that you felt restricted or controlled, or like you were not where you needed to be? And if so, can you describe that for us?
Oh yeah, there was a time because it does take growth. Some of the challenges is finding the support, right? Finding the support who one that can provide the encouragement to go forward, um, and the other one is to finding the support with self to make sure you do go forward. Again, not dealing necessarily with self-esteem, but like you, as you were saying today, should I go ahead and do this? But we find ourselves that the Spirit of the Lord is still upon us, and it's that nagging feeling that we cannot get rid of unless we do something. And so
Yes.
we stay at it. And so my challenge was making sure that I stay at it. And I will say over the years, and I don't know how many years it's been now. Let's say my son is now 31. I may have started it. He was probably, I don't know, I think around 4. I think when I was called into ministry, and and so just staying at it. Yes, there are gonna be struggles, but stay at it. I had one late elder. She said to me, Willie Mae, if you do at least one thing a year and be faithful to that one thing, and then the next year be faithful to that one thing. Don't think you're gonna do all of this all at one time. Just be faithful to that one thing, and that really gave me a lot of encouragement that tells me I don't have to be overwhelmed in what I
Right,
do.
right,
And
absolutely.
so just be that faithful in that one thing. And the truth of the matter is sometimes you may have to do that one thing all by yourself,
Yeah, that's true.
all by yourself. And even if you all by yourself on the journey, still do it, still
Yes,
do it. And so, but over the years, support came and people just kind of stayed faithful with the process along with me. And so that kept me going. That kept me going. I tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work because as a published author as well, that's more work on you.
yes,
That's more work, as
yes,
well as always trying to listen. Okay, God, what is it that you want me to do so I can make sure I make you happy? You know,
yes,
make sure I make you pleased at what I'm doing. So, you have the voice of God you gotta listen out to. You have to make sure you have the listen out to wisdom, and it's just so much. But
yes.
just try to be faithful to the small things. Those small things do add up.
Yes, ma'am. And one of the things that I remember when I first met you, that struck me, and I've noticed from a distance over the years, um, that your family plays a big role in what you do. Your sister and your brother and your father, and I smile when I see these things because I understand the importance of family. And as a single mother, motherhood is my thing. That's my focus right now, helping the other mothers. And so I'm impressed. I'm very impressed with the relationship that you have with your son. So tell us how important, I'll let you tell it instead of me telling it, how important is family to you with regard to fulfilling your purpose?
Family is very important. Um, the I would say the positives and the negatives. You still have to evaluate where you are, whether you like it or not, with the personalities that we have, because we still argue. My sister and I will argue in a minute, and my brother and I will disagree, and Daddy may go and keep going.
Yeah, yeah,
My son may say, "Okay, what now, Ma?"
yeah.
So, but it's still having. They know the core of who I am, and at the end of the day or at the end of the event they are there. And
That's right.
so, but what is important is that constant communication with them. They may say that I may nag, but I nag in a nice way.
Yeah, yeah,
And and because they know I so desire to want to do what God has called me to do, and to make the community a better place. They know that's my heart,
that's
and
right.
they know I cannot do it by myself.
Yeah.
And so, between the nagging and the argument,
Yeah, yeah,
they still do, and I'm very thankful for it. I learned not to argue about it, or I learned not to say woe is me, don't nobody don't want to help me. I learned not to even think about that, because at the end of whatever the event, the process is, that I know that God will get the glory.
yeah.
He's going to get the glory. And although it may not be perfect as you would like it to be, because sometimes my A+ personality may kick in.
Yes, yeah. I
I,
understand.
uh, and but it will come out to the way that God wanted to be. That's a saying in the church that more people could have come, but who's here is what God planned to be here. And there's a lot of truth with that, even with whatever project that we do. There are projects where people will not show up. One person may show up. Two, 5, 10, or 20 may show up. Or however, we still have to be faithful,
Yes,
still faithful to the process. So yeah, family is very important to me, but I have to be mindful, or we have to be mindful, if I am to give some encouragement, to know that disagreements will be there.
yes,
But at the end of the day, God will still achieve what God desired to achieve. And so God is, I'm always mindful that it's not about me. My effort is to, my aim is to put the effort forth.
Yes.
That's it. Just put the effort forth, and
Yes.
God will do the rest. And I have learned to just be thankful for that, do the best I can with that, and God does what God does. And so, yeah,
I love that. The consistency and the effort are so important, because if we just do what we do, and then God will bless what we do. Now,
God,
you know my heart with the motherhood thing. And so I want you to talk about your son and brag on him a little bit. I've been watching him from a distance as well, because it's been a long time since I saw you all in person, and he has grown and matured, and he's doing his own thing. And as a mother, it makes my heart smile. He's not even my child. So I want you, I have to have you talk about him for a minute.
Rayvon, I'm gonna tell you, as a single mom, girl, I was so overwhelmed because I was, and perhaps still am, I am an attentional parent.
Okay.
And because I will say there has been fears that I have to deal with because he's a Black African American, and there are issues that arise against our Black boys.
Absolutely.
And so being young, have him at 25, we still have to try to install in him to be mindful of how society is as he grows.
Yes.
And as a concerned parent, I don't want anything to happen to my son. And so I will admit that sometimes my driving force may have been some of my fears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I still had to talk to God about those fears, and I had to rely on the Lord to know everything would be okay. But I'm like, God,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Well, God, here's my fears. But God is saying it will be okay. So in the process of being content with the okay and believing in God, I still had to move forward in raising him. But here's the thing is, my raising him again was intentional, and we had rules in our household. God was first, then respect was second. We education was third, and I forgot the fourth right now. We've done it so long, but and so God was our driving force. It's not that I push God on my son, but I live my life as if God is real. God is right here with me. God is right here with me, and so God was a part of our everyday conversation. You
Yes.
know, it was our consciousness. Okay, God is here with us, and so am I talking to him? He knows it's like, okay, what would God do? Or what would be the best thing that will promote a better community, if you will?
Yes.
How
Yes.
do I relate in the world that I'm in from each stage of his life? From when he um, going through elementary school, trying to find friends that he can relate with. I'm gonna tell you, the fifth grade was it? Fifth grade was the toughest for me.
Wow. Really?
It was yes, because he fought all the time, and the learning lesson for me was um, trust God more. Just trust God and listen to him. I wanted my son to be around a male teacher, right? And I come to find out that it was the one of the not so good decision that I had made.
Okay.
But God got the blessing out of it all. But nevertheless, I wanted him to be around a male teacher because all his teachers have been women. and there was not a man in our household.
Yeah.
So basically, I wanted him to be around a man. And so, in the process of being around this man, this son of mine would fight all the time. Now, my son knew his environment more than I did at the time. So he was like a uh, very academic student, right? But the environment that I said, hey, I want him to be around this male teacher, but the environment in which the male teacher was in, he held a class where there were lots of hellions. That's what I call them. They fought all the time. These were students that didn't necessarily listen to their parents. They may not have that kind of structure,
Yeah.
and not to devalue them in any way, but that's just the way it was. So
Right.
my son had to learn to survive in that environment.
Yes.
So he fought all the time. So so let the counseling begin. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so basically, we stayed in family counseling forever. Forever.
Yeah.
So from the fifth grade till the eighth grade, that's 4 years, right? We stayed in counseling, family counseling. And I learned a lot about him as a growing Black male. And he learned a lot about me as a Black single mom.
Yes.
The core for us was to understand each other's heart,
Right.
hear
Right.
my heart, hear my heart, and I had to hear his heart. And that made a big difference in our relationship.
Yeah.
And so, and it increased our communication. So when I'm not there, he knows my heart.
Yes.
You understand? And although he's not there around me, I'm still leery, but I'm trusting the process.
Yeah, right,
You know,
right. And it's so important. It's important. I was, listening to you talk that even as Christians, believers in God and such, we have to still be aware of what's going on. I talk to so many people who say, oh, I don't read the paper, or I don't listen to the news. I just trust God. Well, I trust God too, but I need to know what's going on. When my Black sons and grandsons walk out the door, they need to understand that they have a target on their back, whether they do anything or not. That's just the way it is. So it's not that I don't trust God, but I want them to be informed, to be aware of what's going on. And I still trust God that He's going to watch over them. But I think it's so important that we have to, and as a mother, um, there's a whole different connection that you have with your sons, and they'll always be your babies. I don't care how old they get, but
right.
you just feel protective of them. Like, call me when you get there, text me when you get there, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, mom. But I don't care. You can be on my God while you're texting. How about that?
That's right. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he
So
understands that. Yeah.
absolutely. And I like I said, I've watched you all from afar, and it makes me smile because there are so many mothers that I deal with in my organization who do not have good relationships with their children. And it's one of the reasons why I remember starting the organization in the first place, because I would see my sons, both of my sons were athletes since like 5 or 6 years old. And
Okay.
we would go to games, and it would hardly ever be any fathers there, just the mothers. And then sometimes as they got like early teens or whatever, a little boy would come over and say, Miss Jamie, can I spend the night? And I'm like, where's your mom? Does your mom know where you are? And they were like, oh, she don't care. And so they spend the night. And I remember one time a little boy was there 3 days. And I was like, dude, like, what's your phone number? Like, I can't believe I would never let my child go to somebody's house I'd never even met for 3 days, and don't have a clue. But I learned that sometimes just because you give birth doesn't mean you know how to mother a child. And especially if you don't have guidance, spiritual guidance, sometimes it can be overwhelming for those that have that. So
Absolutely.
that's why I came up with this organization as a way to try to help mothers, because I feel like if we can help you become a better woman, then you can become a better mother. And
Right.
so when I watch you and the work that you do, and I watch your son working with you, it reminds me of the reason why I started that. And I definitely want to say I am very blessed by you and your son. And if I never get to speak with you again, I want to go on record as saying that, because I know it hasn't been easy. I know it's been a challenge. Single parenthood is a challenge, period. But with boys, it's even more of a challenge, because, you know, people say stuff like, oh, they don't, if they didn't know their father, they can't miss what they never had. And I totally disagree with that, because it was designed by our creator that there be the male and the female, and that piece is missing, whether they had it or not. They know it's missing. And so then that kind of puts more pressure on us, because we're trying to find ways to fill that void. And sometimes it just boils down to, okay, God, it's in your hand. I need your help. Yeah.
Right, right. And to my prayer was when my son was born, my prayer was, Lord, because I used to pray for myself, Lord, send saints in my path so that I can grow and learn and have a better relationship with you. And so when I got pregnant, and my son came, so my prayer changed was, Lord, send saints our way,
Yeah.
who will love us unconditionally so that we can continue to grow and be the best that God has called us to be. And so with that, God really blessed us with, he had three great blessings, godmothers who really deposit into his life. And
Awesome.
with that, um, um, his second godmother, bless her, rest her soul, um, she really took him under her arms when I wasn't there. She was that, oh, what a blessing, what a support group she was to me. She was an older lady, and it's like Rayvon became her child in a way, but the respect was she always went by what I wanted. And not that she took over and she reigned, and no, it wasn't that, because she would keep him when she knew I needed support, or she would just keep him because she just loved him just that much. He had his own room, his own dressers. He just, he went totally without. And so while I was in college, have classes, she would keep him, and then I will immediately go and get him. And she would try to say, "You don't have to rush back so fast. Just relax, May." That's what she would say. She would wanted me to go out on dates, and that was far from my mind,
Yeah,
dating.
yeah.
But she wanted me to know that he was okay. And the blessing was, she was a Christian woman. She wasn't an old-fashioned Christian woman. She was a woman who knew about prayer, and she knew that, that I had the right to relax,
Yes.
even though as a single mom, I was overwhelmed. She knew that part about me. And I was very, very appreciative of that. Now, when I wanted to argue about what was going on, she had a listening ear,
Yeah.
right? And she will not give me any advice unless I
Yes.
ask. I mean, because we can vent all day long.
Yeah.
Um, it's good to have someone who would not tell me what to do. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But just listen so I can get it off my spirit.
That's
She was
right.
good. She was really good at that. And I was very appreciative of that. Unless I ask her what you think I should do, she will only share then. And she said with these last words, she said, "But that's your child.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your child. You think what you think is best." And I'm like, wow, she gave me nothing but comfort.
Yeah.
And, she respected my space
Yeah.
and raising him with values. And so,
Yeah, that's powerful, because when you're pursuing purpose for just yourself, that's challenge enough. But then when you have the responsibility of another human being as well, you need support. You need people that will speak into your life, speak into your child's life, and just be there. And that's a blessing to have that. Now, what would you say if I ask you, what do you believe your purpose is? What would you say?
My purpose, well, you know what? I've come to realize that God gives you uh, um, several tasks over seasons, right? Um, but I would say the ultimate task is really to assist in the lives of others, to
Yeah,
help make their lives better to the best that I know how, with the skill sets that I'm giving. So I always say, to assist with um, the lives as well, to make the community a better place. Because ultimately, once God reign in our lives, not only I, but the next person will want to do the best. And
yeah,
when people see that, then the next person want to do the best. And the more the best that comes out of us, which is really God coming out of us, the better the community itself can be.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Mhm.
so your purpose-driven freedom comes from, number one, your connection to God,
Yeah.
that gives
First
you
of
that
all,
power. Absolutely, that's the first step. And
right.
then you have a heart for people, and a heart for community. And
Yes, yes,
um, so the ministry that God has given you serves so many people, people that, like myself, that you won't even come in contact with maybe but once in the flesh, but we're still blessed. That seed is implanted. You imparted things into me when I met you, however many years that was, and I still carry those blessings. And so that is your purpose. I'm going to ask you two more questions, then I'm going to let you go. What do you see as your character traits that help you to pursue your purpose at this point in your life?
my character traits.
Mhm.
Um, my character, I think communication is very important. Um, Learning to communicate with the person where he or she is in their lives.
Yes.
Um, and I guess, I serve as a mental health therapist. Um, and I didn't know I really had these skill sets until one of my professor brought that to my attention. I'm like, what? Because I like talking. But um, and when I started working as a chaplain, as a hospital chaplain,
Yes.
I came to really see and know what he was talking about.
Yes.
So it was a hidden skill set, if you will. So, and it has a lot to do with listening,
Yes.
listening, and in the process of listening, knowing how to communicate with that person. And so, that's what I do now. And that's amazing because really I was a talker. I always have been a talker. But that piece, when it comes to helping individuals, I'm very in tune
Yeah.
to listening to the spirit of the person
Right. Right. Right.
and let that spirit say what needs to be said to free itself.
Absolutely.
So communication, I would say communication and having the ability to actively listen.
That's powerful. I love that. Okay, so as we come to a close, again, I want to thank you for taking time out to join me tonight. And I want to ask you, number one, I want to make sure we get your contact information. And also, I want you to share with us, what is your big vision that you have personally and professionally, that you see for your future?
Right now, um, even with my coaching, it is always um, allow peace and joy arise, if that makes sense. peace and joy arise. And when I work with people, um, I'm always, even though I listen to the spirit, I always trying to it's something about peace and joy within. And we have it, right? But we got to get there. We got to reach deep within ourselves to find that peace and joy. Because those are the two, I would say, the primary promises of God is peace and joy. And and for what I do as a coach, what I do as a therapist, what I do as a um, now a personal trainer, um, it yet still is about finding that peace and it's finding that joy. So whatever skill sets I may have, my goal is still to drive to that peace and joy on this earth and to live that peace and joy that God promised us. So that is my overall scope
Yeah.
of helping others is to listen to the spirit within them and to somehow help to uplift or to bring forth that peace and that joy that only God can give, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yes. Because once you get it,
I know that's right.
you get it. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter where you work, it doesn't, I mean, there's nothing as great as what that God that lives in us
Yes,
that give us that peace and that joy.
that's
And
powerful.
nothing else will matter.
Yeah, because once you get that, and then once you get that peace and that joy, and then you have a freedom, like you're free to be who He created you to be. You're
Absolutely.
free of other people's opinions and approval. You don't need their
Absolutely.
approval. Yeah, it's a powerful place to be. And
Absolutely.
you have a servant's heart, and so you will always be blessed because you're always looking for ways to serve others.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
so again, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will definitely be in touch.
Well, thank you very much. And you continue to move forward, continue to help to build a kingdom. I'm very, very proud of you. Very proud.
Oh, thank
Know
you.
you've been through some things, and in the process of our going through, we're still searching for God in the midst of it. What shall I? How shall I?
That's right.
When shall I do it? Right? And
That's
so
right.
I'm very, very proud of you. Continue to go forth in all the energy that you have to serve the Lord. Remember
Thank you so much.
remember the Lord in the days of your youth, and you're still young. You're still
Ah,
young.
okay. Thank you so much. I'm honored to have you with us tonight. All right, we'll talk again soon.
I hope so. You be blessed, okay?
Okay, God bless. Good
Okay,
night.
God bless you. Good night. And thank you.
You're so welcome.
You're welcome.